And joining us now is Vince Everett Ellison, and he's got a new book out that is absolute must-reading. It's called The Iron Triangle, and he's with us now. He's also from Virginia. Hey, Vince, great to have you with us.
Mr. Frederick, it is an honor.
Well, thank you, sir. You know, in your book, you predicted that race would be essentially the major issue in the 2020 campaign, so to speak. How did you come to this conclusion before anyone else?
Oh, man, it's like a Mike Tyson left hook. You know it's coming. The question becomes, can you defend yourself against it? This is all they have. My book comes from the premise that white conservatives have nothing more to apologize for. Everything that's wrong in the black community can be fixed in the black community, but we have these three entities. I call them the Iron Triangle: most black preachers, most black politicians, and most black civic organizers who are being paid by white liberals that live in New York and California to control the black community, to get 90% of the vote for them so they can control the Democrat Party. That's it. So as they deflect and say that it's conservatism and it's racism or it's white people, that is just an absolute stone cold lie. The Democrat Party has made its fortune off of black people since slavery. They will never let us go voluntarily. And until we decide that we're going to break loose from this death cult, we'll never rise above it.
How do you do it?
First, we have to remind black people who they are. 85% say they're Christian. 85. Now, 75% of the white community say they're Christian, but they vote conservative, and they're pretty happy with their lives. They're not burning down their neighborhoods. But the 85% black people say they're Christian, but they vote liberal. And what are they doing? They're complaining. They're burning down their neighborhoods. They're acting a fool. Why? Because the left has gotten in their ear, and the Iron Triangle with the black preacher at the head has delivered them an apostate Christianity. In Christianity, you are an heir of Jesus Christ. You are supposed to fear nothing in this world. Yet we are marching. We're supposed to have forbearance, love, and forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Yet we're marching, burning down buildings, yelling, no justice, no peace. That is not of God. I was at a funeral one time with my father, and this boy was just acting a fool because his daddy was dead. We knew the family. They had to take him out of the church because he was crying so much. Me and my dad went out there to see what was going on. The boy was crying and flailing about. My father grabbed him by the collar of his shirt and slapped the hell out of him and said, boy, straighten up. Your mother is in there. People are seeing you act a fool. Remember who you are. I remember your father. That boy straightened himself up, walked back in their church, and then shed another tear. Sometimes you got to shake somebody and remind them who they are and get back in line. You are a man. You are a free man. They tell you that you're not free. You were born free. It's an unalienable right given to you by God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, it's unsellable. Martin Luther King Jr. said at the March on Washington, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. That was a lie. I was born free. He said, we come to Washington for our unalienable rights. That is a lie. My unalienable rights came from God. They are irrevocable, non-transferable, unsellable. Included in those is the right to defend myself, the right to own property, the right to pray to my God the way I want to, not the way you tell me to, and the right to life. We have given all of those over to the Democratic Party, or thought that we have, which means we made them God. And they don't have the power of God. Therefore, now that we've given them the power of God and they are lacking, they're angry about it. We, Christians, the government's not going to do it. Mm-hmm. Fellow Christians have to decide to go down there and shake our brothers and sisters and remind them who they are. Like Simba in The Lion King. Mm-hmm. Remember who you are. You're not to fear these people. I don't fear a racist. A racist fears me. Mm-hmm. There's no white man superior to me. If he is, show him to me. Mm-hmm. He don't exist. No man is superior to me, black or white. So a white man thinks he's superior. What does that mean? It only matters if I believe it. He can say he's a leprechaun. Does that make it true? No. But they have black men around here fearing white supremacy, walking around saying white supremacy has to end, and then going to walk around here and say he's a man. It is not one thing I learned from white men. They never were afraid of anyone. Indian, slave, Asian, it didn't matter. You could not make them feel inferior. That's how they took over the world. We walking around here asking their so-called enemy for respite and forbearance. You better get a gun. The police are not going to protect you. That is not their job. They are an investigative apprehension unit. When the police show up, the crime has been committed 95% of the time. Mm-hmm. And you've given your right over to them to protect you. And when they kick your door in at 3 a.m, see how that works out for you. This is why in Chicago, Detroit, L.A., Memphis, and all the big cities, there's more murder, more crime than any place in the world, because they believe that the government can protect them, and the Founding Fathers and God has told you, this is your burden. If you will not take it on, nobody else can. The police are not clairvoyant. This is not Minority Report, the Tom Cruise movie where they can see the future of crime. No, this is your burden. And we won't do it. And black men have given up their right. They're giving their fangs and their claws over to their enemy, and they deserve everything they get. Machiavelli said there's no relationship between an unarmed man and an armed man. The armed man will hold the unarmed man in contempt, and the Democratic Party holds the black community in absolute, utter contempt.
Then why are they still wedded to them?
Because of Stockholm Syndrome and cognitive dissonance. We know about Stockholm Syndrome. Patty Hearst is the most famous person that had it. You know, they kidnapped her, beat her up, kept her in a closet, and next thing you know, she's helping them rob banks, right?
Raped her repeatedly?
Yeah. It is a mental condition, and when you look at what Democrats did to black people, I was watching Grant with my children this past month, and it showed how when black men got together and tried to have a Republican meeting, the white Democrats came and shot them all in the head and killed them. This is how Republicanism became a pejorative in the black community. It was the Mississippi plan and the South Carolina plan. They would kill you. I'm not talking about kill you nice either. They would kill you in front of your family and beat you to death with a whip. So when you start talking about becoming a Republican, you would get a absolute chastisement from your parents, because the white people, the white Democrats, would kill you for it. So what happened? With Stockholm Syndrome and cognitive dissonance, you start identifying with your master. Look at the civil rights movement, man. We were fighting. We had our own schools, had our own restaurants, had our own everything. But guess what we wanted? We wanted to sit on the toilet beside white folks. We wanted to eat a hamburger beside white folks. We wanted to go to school beside white folks, even though they were telling us no, and they were sticking dogs on us and hitting us with water hoses telling us no. We still forced our way in. Don't you think that if we do that for that, then when it came time to vote, we was going to vote for their party? And when they could no longer stop us from voting, and they had to allow us in, who do you think they was going to choose to run? You think they're going to get Malcolm X? No, they went and got the same House Negroes that they have had for the last 200 years to fill in those slots. And they've been doing their job ever since, which has always been to keep black people in line for the master. And we are not down there doing our work, the Christians and the citizens of this nation, demanding that the RNC and the NRCC go down there and compete for these votes. I dare you to check this out, and you'll prove me to be true.
Go ahead.
Check out all the 50 majority black districts and see how much money the RNC and the NRCC are giving those candidates running against those black Democrats down there. Mm-hmm. You'll find out they ain't giving them a single dime.
Right.
You will find out that they can barely get gas money, while Jim Clyburn in the worst district in America, in the districts of Chicago and Detroit, these congressmen have millions of dollars in the bank. Mm-hmm. As an old vaudevillian term that says 10% of any gig is just showing up, right?
Right.
And we don't show up. And those people think that we think we're better than they are. The Good Samaritan, you know, the man was beaten down on the side of the road. And the priest and the Levite, his two friends, walked past him. Who came to get him? Somebody he thought was his enemy, the Samaritan. This is our opportunity to be the Samaritan. They think that we are their enemy, and we're not. We're living a good life, and we're watching this chaos on our TVs, and we're shaking our heads saying, ain't this terrible? The first thing you can do is buy my book and arm yourself with knowledge, not anger. Understand what this is so you would learn how to combat it, and then when you talk to your brothers and sisters in Christ, or your Jewish brothers and sisters, or your Muslim brothers and sisters, you can make them understand and pull them back over to the side of light. They know the power that we have, and they are using it for darkness.
We're with Vince Everett Ellison. He's in Virginia. He's the author of a new book, The Iron Triangle, Inside the Liberal Democrat Plan. I haven't read the book yet. I only read the excerpts of it, but now I'm going to buy it. Came out October 6, 2019 in paperback. The Iron Triangle Inside the Liberal Democrat Plan to Use Race to Divide Christians in America in Their Quest for Power and How We Can Defeat Them. And you can get it paperback, $22.87, hardcover, about $33. Just go to Amazon or your favorite bookstore. And,
go to BarnesandNoble.com now because Amazon is sold out.
Yeah, go to BarnesandNoble.com. They have sold out.
Barnes & Noble. Yeah.
So Vince, I mean, basically, the Iron Triangle, you call it black preachers, black politicians, and black civic leaders. So let's go one down. Let's just go one down here. Let's start with black preachers. I mean, these are people of the cloth, right? These are people of God. They have churches and black communities. I mean, why are they part of this?
Because they're not people of God. The black church was started by the slave masters of the South, mostly, and they used the false Christianity to keep black people in line. And when freedom came, black people down south always had this concept that you had to go to the white man for everything that you wanted. So black preachers could always go to these white people with money to get their churches built for favors and whatnot. And as long as they kept their black congregants in line, they had no trouble from the sheriffs and from the Ku Klux Klan and from the White Citizens Council. They had to be a good N-word for them, okay? And they perpetuated slavery. This guy by the name of Gunnar Myrdal wrote a great book on it in the 40s called The Negro Problem in America. He was the Swedish person that got a Nobel Prize in economics. He came down south and did a great soliloquy on black culture. And he said that the black preacher just perpetuate the slave culture for the white masses. So the civil rights movement comes, right? And what are they fighting for? Are they telling black people just believe in Jesus, live a good life, be happy? No. If you don't integrate with white people, then you ain't worth a damn. That was their line. Instead of winning people over by saying, let your light shine, as Jesus said, they hate me, pray for them. They want to hurt me, pray for them, love them. He always put it back on us. But when the black church decided to graft itself to the Democrat Party, and not just the Democrat Party, the liberal Democrat Party, the Marxists, the communists. If you look at Dr. King's monument in Washington, D.C., you're going to find something pretty strange. You're going to find there's not a word about God on it. Nowhere. He was a Baptist minister, not mentioned. SELC, not mentioned. His church, not mentioned. It's not even mentioned that he was a reverend on that monument, because they know that his movement was not a Christian movement. It was a Marxist movement. As I said again, King said you go to government for your unalienable right. That's Marxist thought. That you were not born free, you come to government for your freedom. That's Marxist thought. And he planted it in the black community. And my book talks about how these communists invaded the civil rights movement, and they had a order from the Comintern to change the black community into a replica of the Soviet bloc. And they've done it. Dictator worship, one-party rule, poverty, alcoholism, drug use. Right now, they put out they put out a poll in the Washington Post that said on June 4th. It said since 1968, there's been no narrowing in the wealth gap between black and white Americans. 1968, we have 10 times more black men in prison. Harvard has conducted a study that was cited by the DNC that said that the school system is more segregated now than before Brown versus Board of Education. Mm-hmm. We have 10 times more abortions in the black community. We're aborting half of our children. Poverty, crime, they're burning down cities. And what did Joe Biden say the other week? Mm-hmm. I'm proud of my record. Proud of it. And if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Mm-hmm. That's what he said, because that's how they feel about us. That's the Democrat Party. And they're not going to change a thing. So what's going to happen? They are going to make sure that most black people vote Democrat if they can, but they don't know there's a poison pill out there called Donald Trump. And in the short term, what we can do is vote Donald Trump, and all of your listeners vote Donald Trump, because Donald Trump says that he's going to bring school choice. Donald Trump says that he's going to support life. He says that he's going to stop violating your right to defend yourself, so that black people say they're being hunted by the police and by gangs. He said, no, get your gun and defend yourself. I mean, you're saying you're being hunted, and then the Democrat plan is for you to give your gun over to the very person that's hunting you. Why don't you just be expeditious and just blow your own brains out? Isn't that stupid?
It is stupid. I mean, I don't want to laugh. This is a serious topic, but, I've never heard it quite put that way. We're with Vince Everett Ellison. He's the author of a new book, The Iron Triangle, Inside the Liberal Democratic Plan to Use Race to Divide Christians in America in their quest for power and how we can defeat them. You can get it. He says go to Barnes & Noble. You can get it there. But, I mean, I have to tell you what you just said. They want, like, Trump did say that. He said to the black community, he said, buy a gun. Buy guns. Defend yourself. Man, and the Democrats want to take the guns away from the people that are hurting them with guns.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. You know these people are serious about their guns up here, right? And you don't have any crime up here, hardly. Hardly any. You breaking the Joker's gun up here, you know you're going to get shot full of lead. So there's no home break-in. They know it up here. People don't play up here with that kind of stuff, man.
Not in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Not in the Blue Ridge Mountains. You're not going to get any home invasions there.
Best people in the world. I love them, and I live with them in peace and harmony, and we get along because I'm a tough guy and they're tough guys, and they like tough guys. They don't like whips, and they don't like wussies, and the black community has turned into that. Nobody respects a man that goes out there and begs another man to feed his family or to protect him. You are held in contempt. Machiavelli said there is no relation between an armed man and an unarmed man. He will be held in contempt. Even Frederick Douglass, when he had to beat up his master when he was 16 years old, he said that human nature is so constituted and constructed where it has no love for a helpless man. None whatsoever. You have to decide whether you're going to be a man or a slave. Christianity, what did Jesus say? I've set you free. And who the Son frees is free indeed. You don't ask for your freedom. It's yours. We don't take the lives of our children. They're a blessing. We don't turn our children over to government to educate when government tells us that they can't pray to their God. That is an anathema to how we live. Mm-hmm. We don't kill our citizens and our brothers and sisters. We don't bomb our parents' home. And then these Democrats and liberals get here and try to explain it away like we're a bunch of ignorant children. Well, it's because of how they were brought up. It's because of poverty. Heck, man, we've always been poor, but we haven't been violent. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with that. Poverty doesn't breed violence. It is a lack of moral structure, and when you tell people they are victims, they believe they have a right to victimize. When you're whispering in a person's ear, hatred, jealousy, disrespect, and you'll tell them, see that person right there? That white conservative, yeah. You see America, yeah. They're the cause. That's the reason why you don't have anything. It's not because of your wretchedness. It's not because you won't get up in the morning and go to work. It won't because you won't go back to school and learn a trade. There are three things. I remember reading this with the Brookings Institute. They said three things. That if you do this, 90% chance you'll never be in poverty. They said, get a high school diploma, work full time, don't have a child till you're 21 and married. Over. You will never live in poverty in America. 98% chance. And the Democratic Party undermines all three. All three. They teach sex education before the child can crawl. They destroy the family with all this LGBTQ. And then they cause so much violence and crime in these areas that nobody's going to build a factory or a company. So they have a desert of employment, and they have created a cultural genocide in the black community. And here's the kicker: your neighbor's house is on fire. It's going to burn yours down if you don't stop it. For y'all that say that we don't care anything about the black community, they understand very well. They have caught the neighbor's house on fire so it can burn yours down. Black Lives Matter is getting hundreds of millions of dollars from these leftists to continue this mayhem. We have to do our part, and the first part is for you to buy this book, and it will explain to you the problem. And once you know the problem, then you know how to defeat it. You can't solve it until you know what it is. And right now, I've had so many of my friends say, Vince, why do they vote for the Democrat Party, and how can we stop it? This book explains it. We have to take this seriously because I tell you, if they ever win another election.
All right, tell you what I'm going to do. My producer and our flagship in Richmond, Kara Johnson, who's African-American millennial, just texted me and said, I'm going to read this man's book. So here's what I'm going to do. Stay on the line so Kara can get your name and number. As soon as I get off today, I'm going to buy 2 of your books, The Iron Triangle. I'm going to go to barnesandnoble.com. I'm going to get 2 of them. And I'm going to give one to Kara when I see her on Wednesday. in
And look,
Richmond.
you can go to my website. My website is irontrianglebook.com. irontrianglebook.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Vince E. Ellison. But irontrianglebook.com, you can go on Facebook and find me also. I love talking to people. I love answering questions. Anybody that want to contact me, you can. Twitter, Facebook, irontrianglebook.com. I have blogs there. I have my appearances there. I have a way that you can leave comments there also.
All right, stay on the line so Kiara can get your personal contact information so we can have you back on the show. Can I go, if I go to irontrianglebook.com, can I buy them there, or do I have to go to Barnes & Noble?
Yes, you can go to irontrianglebook.com, and you'll have a link to Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and Walmart.
All right, I'm going to buy 2 of them now. One for me, one for
Thank
Kiara.
you so much.
Vince, thank you. Stay on the line for Kiara.